Recently, there's been a lot of great camera gear that came out. There's been the Sony A1, the Fujifilm GFX 100S, and the Fujifilm X-E4. All these are great cameras, but I realized that I'm not as excited for these cameras as I normally would be. Let's talk about that in this video. What's up guys, it's Project Photography back with the video, and today, so when a new product normally comes out, like a new camera, new lens, I usually, first thing I do in the morning is open up my phone, look at all the reviews that came out, all the previews and all that sort of stuff, and just get really excited about the gear. But lately, I just haven't been feeling that. Like, I opened up my phone to see the news that the GFX 100S came out. I was really excited about it at first, but then as watching the reviews and stuff, I just realized that I don't really care as much. Now, I think in my book that's a good thing, because I think obsessing over camera gear and all that over time is not necessarily a good thing. You know, there's other more important things to worry about, but let's just talk about new camera gear and why it's not necessarily important to care about it as much as a photographer, and kind of my thought process of me not caring as much about camera gear. So I think a big player, and the reason why a lot of people care about camera gear in the first place, is something called GAS syndrome, which is gear acquisition syndrome. There's something about GAS that has been built up in the photography community for years now, you know. I think it started really when all these reviews came out and people watched them, you know, they get the best ratings for sure. Then Instagram came out and people would post their camera layouts, all these beautiful layouts of with their camera gear and all that. And people really became attracted to the idea of having new gear. You know, it was like having that new toy to play with, having that new car, having that new piece of something to actually go out and use. And maybe it'll enhance your photos. People have this idea that, oh, if I get this new piece of gear, my photos will get better, or I'll just become a better photographer. And obviously none of that is true. Just because you buy a new piece of gear does not mean you're gonna become a new photographer instantly. But I think that this idea of having new gear has been drummed into our heads so much that we believe that, even though we know consciously that it's not true, we believe that subconsciously. And it's really not a healthy thing, because, you know, striving to get better photography is more than just a piece of camera. It's a lifestyle, it's an art style, it's a thought process, a mindset, not just necessarily having a new piece of gear. I swear, if I could just become better at becoming a new photographer, I would just buy a new D5. Like that's what a lot of these people think. That, oh, if I get this new piece of gear, my camera image quality will be better, or all these other things, rather than actually learning and taking the time to learn photography. Now, when I had this epiphany that, oh, I don't really care as much about new camera gear, was when I was taking a walk, and I just realized that, you know what, I'm really happy, I'm really satisfied with the gear I have. I have my Z6, I have my 14-30, 24-70, my Z50 with a 50-250. All these are great lenses, great image quality, and I just don't feel like I need more. I'm very satisfied with what I have. As a landscape photographer, I really don't have that many, I don't really need that many things in order to make great images. You know, it's pretty simple. You just need tripods, filters, a lens, camera, and you're pretty much set. And that's one thing about landscape photography that I really like, is that the fact that it's very minimalistic, very simple niche of photography that I think a lot of people, and pretty much everyone, can get into. But that's made my life a lot simpler when it comes to new camera gear, because I really don't need new pieces of gear every time something comes out. You know, when the Z6 II, Z7 II came out, I thought, wow, these are great cameras, but I don't really need them. I made an entire video about why I don't need the Z6 II over the Z6, because the Z6 really is just an incredible camera. Even though this camera is about 3 years old now, it still performs extremely well, and I'm really happy with it. I've just been very satisfied with the gear I have, and that's a good thing, because I don't feel like I have to lust after the newest piece of gear. Oh, I need 45 megapixels, I need 60 megapixels, I need 100 megapixels. I don't feel the need for those types of image quality. I don't really feel the need for those type of cameras. And once you're extremely satisfied with the gear you have, once you believe that, you know what, I don't need these other pieces of gear, I don't care about when the new piece of gear comes out, is when you can really dial in and focus on your photography. You can really set aside these distractions, because that's really what these are. These are distractions that take you away from actually creating, actually making photos. And that's really what's important to all of this. You know, I'm not saying, oh, you need to like not care about gear and all that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is that new pieces of gear is just distractions from you creating your own photography. Yeah, it's nice to have the latest and greatest, but is it necessary? I would argue that it's not. You know, if you're happy with the gear that you have right now, then that's awesome. That's great. Do the best with what you have right now. But clearly it's a different story if you feel like, you know what, oh, my gear is not really performing the way I want it to. There's some deficiencies, and I just feel like, you know, the gear that I have is holding me back from creating my own, that's when you should go out and maybe explore other options of photography. But once you get to a point where your gear is no longer a distraction, your gear is no longer the thing that's holding you back from your photography, that's where you can really jump and you can really get better at photography, because gear is no longer a distraction. It's simply a tool to make your photography better. You know, I was always making strides in my photography, but when I just sat down and focus on the photography rather than focusing on these other external distractions, when I was really able to dial in and make sure that my photography was as good as it is. So although, you know, I am excited about what the GFX 100S's implications are, the Sony A1's implications are, you know, it's a great piece of gear overall, but I just don't care. I don't really see a need for all these new pieces of gear. You know, they come out with new pieces of gear every so often, every cycle. You know, there's always seems to be this cycle in photography with new products, new cameras coming out, and they always make it seem like this is the latest and greatest. You know, you need this to be a good photographer. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth. That's not what it means to be a good photographer. If great gear is what made you a great photographer, then everyone who had the expensive Sony A7R4s or Z7 IIs or just whatever is the latest and greatest, most expensive, they would be amazing photographers, but that's definitely not the case. I've seen people with great cameras produce not so amazing images. So just know that the latest piece of gear is simply a distraction. You don't have to worry about it at all. Don't feel like you need that in order to be a great photographer, because I'm here to tell you that what you need to really focus on is your photography itself. Don't focus on these other distractions. Focus on your art. Focus on creating amazing images. Go out there and shoot. Spend your money not on new pieces of gear, but rather on vacations, on things that'll actually make you improve your photography. Going out there and shooting. That's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know what you guys think about my thought process. I'm not really here to tell you guys one thing or another. I kind of just want to use this platform as a discussion, talk about these different ideals on all these other things. So let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comment section down below. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.